Welcome back to another Football Wednesday here at Inside Pack Sports. We've got NC State Wolfpack legend Emeka Emezie back with us talking Wolfpack football. State moves to 2-0 this week with the win over Virginia 35-31. Emeka, I know you watched the game, so let's start with that right there. How'd you feel about NC State's performance against Virginia?
Yeah, I loved our offense. I loved how their offense looked so much. I love C.J. Bailey, watching him play, watching the energy that the offense has around him is so special, right? And then the receivers that we have around, there's a lot of playmakers, but really it starts with the quarterback. It starts with the running back as well. And then those two guys together, him and Hollywood, are just so electric. And being able to carry our team this past game was something fun to see, especially that we came back from down 10 at half. It's not really something that we do at NC State, like breaking those kind of narratives. And that was fun to see from the offense and the team as a whole.
One of the things that a lot of times fans get into these discussions about, I think there's like this envy, I think, for teams that score a lot of points, obviously. And because, a fan, they want you to score a lot of points and not give up any, right? Like, that's the perfect world. Like, they think that's what you want to have. But offensively, score a lot of points and play fast. Look like you play fun and have fun. It feels like this offense is starting to maybe work that way. You're seeing it, I think, play with more tempo, right? Like the previous couple of years, they didn't run a lot of tempo. They huddled. They didn't show the same amount of tempo. They subbed a lot more. Before we get into the subbing part for you as a receiver, how much as a receiver did you like playing with tempo?
Yeah, tempo is everything. And I think Beck did a good job of that after like splash plays or big plays, having us all get onto the line. And it's hard for the defense to be able to call a different coverage, right? They're going to go to a base coverage in those scenarios. So you're going to know exactly what you're going to get. There's a lot of free access throws that you're able to get to. And just because we have so many guys going in and out as well, it's a little bit easier for us to do. And then the guys that are behind them as well are so talented. So it's a fresh legs each and every single series almost that has been helping us a lot this year.
The other advantage I think you get when you run tempo is you can keep the same personnel out there. Exactly. And I know for me, one of the issues I've had at times with State, and that's just my opinion, I'm not putting words in Emeka's mouth. These are my words. I think State subs too much at the wide receiver position at time to previous years. I think they're playing too many guys. Not to say guys can't play, but Emeka, I think you'd probably agree with me. Wide receiver, like any other position, is a rhythm position. Yes. Right? Like you need to have a feel. You need to get in the flow. And I think allowing these guys to play with tempo and stay on the field for series, it gives them a chance to be more productive.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that just looking at it this year, and I was just thinking about that a lot too before I came on here, was that the guys that are behind them are not even worse or at all different than the person that's playing. I would just think that, like, being a little bit specific, like somebody like Wesley, I wouldn't really want to take him off the field too much, right? Like certain guys you don't really want to take off. Justin Jolly, of course, like they're so talented, but the other guys are so talented as well that it does get tough for them to get into the rhythm and find, like this year, the leading receiver will probably be around like 500 to 600 yards just because of how much that we sub.
Yeah, and I think to your point, though, it's a little different because they all can play.
Exactly.
And again, I'm not naming names in previous years, but it felt like they were giving snaps to guys who there was a gap there, right? Like there was a gap there to where you say, why are we doing this? Now you're at a point where, okay, if you got Teddy Hoffman out there, if you got Terrell Anderson, you still feel good about it.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing, like you said right there, that it can't be a certain game plan just because that's what I want to do, right? As a coach, you have to have that understanding of what's best for the team. If this guy's the best guy that needs to be out there, we need to keep him out there even if he's dead tired versus just putting out there somebody that is not going to get the same effect on the defense. And that's what's most important, understanding that it's not about the system as much as it is about the players. And if the players are able to play to the system, that's what makes the system good, not just because of the scheme that we have to have the offense go out there.
You mentioned NC State coming back from their deficit. I thought that was really impressive. They went into halftime of that game down 24-14. Wasn't a lot of optimism in that stadium, right? We know NC State was getting the ball coming out. What I thought was interesting, State leaned on their running game coming out.
Yes.
I wonder if they thought Virginia was going to play coverage because, a lot of teams, I mean, maybe for receivers, you guys probably want this. Hey, we're going to sling it around trying to catch up, right? But that's what a lot of teams default to. And at times, I think it can snowball on you in the other direction if you're not really, really good, a sack or a turnover. State did the other thing. They said, no, we're going to hand it to Smothers, see if we can get back in it that way. They were able to regain the lead with their running game.
Yeah, I've loved the way Roper's gone about with his play calling in certain scenarios, especially with just the dynamic in the backfield of Hollywood and of CJ, being able to have those designed runs that draw early in the, I think, first or second quarter where he had that long run. Things like that it's so hard for the defense to be able to plan for things like that. And it also opens up the receivers on the wide side as well. So being able to have those guys in the backfield is so important for us because it just opens up everything. Like you can see the play action as well. We hit Noah for that post line. It's just like little things like that maybe the fans may not be able to see are the reason why that happens because we have such a good run game. And I think that with Hollywood, how explosive he is, he's able to get a 10-yard run at any given point. And leaning on something like that is what we should do for the rest of the season, honestly.
Yeah, I was having a discussion with my business partner, Bryant, about Hollywood, and we were talking about where he would rank already among running backs under Dave Doran. And your freshman year, you played with the guy who I think was probably right there with him in Nyheim Hines. I mean, very similar back. And I'm sure for you as a freshman, you got to see this guy. I think back to that season where he would single-handedly close out and win games for y'all. Like, I mean, go back to the Boston College game where he had a big run down the sideline. Pitt, the 2 long touchdown runs. North Carolina. I mean, that game was back and forth for some reason late, and then he pops the 2 long touchdown runs. Talk about what it was like watching Nyheim and how impactful it is to have a running back with not only that's good, but has that game-breaking, explosive ability to him.
Yes, I think also just with Bam Knight and Ricky as well, those guys were so explosive in their own kind of way. But with Nyheim, the thing about him too is special teams, that you can give him the ball in any certain situation, right? A punt return touchdown versus Pitt, where Bradley Chubb's blocking for him. That was a really cool moment to be able to experience. But guys like that are able to have one play change the game immediately are everything that you need, because it's a situation where you can't plan for. You're not going to just go out there and say, this play is going to give us 70 yards. This play is going to give us whatever. You're just calling it a routine play. And you see that with Hollywood, is that it's just a routine play. He makes a couple guys miss, and then it's a 40-yard run. Like, those are the things that you need as an offense in order to be able to come back from a deficit of 10 points and then keep your offense moving the change as well.
I want to ask you about the final drive of the game for NC State here against Virginia. NC State was leading in this game, and I've been looking for signals because when I look at this team, Emeka, I think this should be an offense-driven team. I think the strength on this year's team lies on the offense, and I've been waiting to see, okay, is there any signs that maybe the coaching staff feel that way? Because I don't know if you'd agree with me or not, but it feels like the previous 3-4 years – they've been more defensive based, right? They've been kind of like, we're going to lean on our defense, and they've had elite defenses there. I mean, go back to when you were there, Dre, all those guys we talked about last week, right? But when you go to that last drive, there were a couple plays that I wanted to get your opinion on. Well, there were 3 of them. The first one, 3rd and 12, I think at NC State's 6-yard line. Yeah. More often than not in that situation inside of final 4 minutes, what does a coach want to do? He's going to turn around and hand it off.
Exactly.
Well, State, they drop back. They hit Terrell Anderson on a crosser. He's athletic, talented enough to pick up the first down for you. So you check the box there with that one. So as a receiver, before we move to the next one, when you're in the huddle or you're on the sidelines, it's 3rd and 12, and you see a pass call being made in that situation at that yardage, has to give you a ton of confidence from your head coach and your coordinator, right?
Absolutely. And I think that just the way that Coach Doran went about it, even with that 4th down call too that we got, obviously we had to punt the ball away, but those are things that we wouldn't have done in the past. And I think that's along with when you have a head coach that's tenured for so long, there's patterns that you can predict. And he wasn't being able to be predictable a little bit more, right? That pass on the 6-yard line, and we get that first down, we do the 4th and 1. Little situations like that we haven't been doing in the past before are things that the fans want to see, right? The fans want to see that. And then also the players want to see that as well. And that we have that trust in our offense. We have the trust in the quarterback, even though he's a young quarterback, and the receivers that are young as well, that we're able to get that first down. That allows for us to continue to have that kind of momentum and those play calling and decisions when we get later into the season as well.
You mentioned the 4th down, 4th and 1 from the 28-yard line, 3.5 minutes to go, right around. I mean, that's a ballsy call, right? Like that's the word to describe it. I mean, you're in a position where you're only up 4. You could potentially be giving the other team the ball inside your own 30. And not only does he make that call, he goes with a true freshman and quarterback Will Wilson to run their version of the wildcat with the quarterback. Mm-hmm. When you saw that play call, what'd you think of the call and then the decision to go wildcat with your true freshman?
I think that it's an ultimate trust in the players that you have, and then also the play calling that you've been repping throughout the week. So a lot of times coaches will fall back on the plays because maybe it is a freshman that has to go and make a 4th and 1 play in a critical situation. And being able to have that confidence in the play calling and the design, and that we've repped this so many times throughout the week that it doesn't matter who's out there. I trust him that he's going to make this play happen because this is what we need to happen in order to win the game and get this first down.
If I had to nitpick in this offensive mentality, there'd be one thing I wanted to get your opinion on. It still feels like on first down you're running. Mm-hmm. And I struggle with that because we mentioned the 3rd and 12 where you got the stones to pass it to TA. Even after they picked up the 4th and 1, they ran it. And then on 3rd and 9, they dropped back to try and throw it again, which, again, that's an aggressive call. Mm-hmm. My question for you is this. If you're going to be aggressive on 3rd down like that, couldn't you also be aggressive on 1st or 2nd down when teams are more often playing rush coverage, right? Like as a receiver, they're probably 3rd and 9 more willing to think you'll throw it there versus 1st down. And I think you're probably helping your offense out by being aggressive on 1st down.
Yeah, and I would love to see the RPO options where we have a lot of guys maybe coming in motion and giving the defense a lot of different looks. So it's not just, so stagnant that we know we're running the ball. Having that option of a hitch that we hit Noah on maybe earlier in the game, and Wesley as well, having that off coverage and seeing something to where if the option is there to throw it, right, you throw it and you get 6 yards. That's just it's a longer run. That's what we like to talk about it as, that it's just an extended run when you have those RPOs that you're able to get that 6 yards as a run versus having a run and then you're kind of gambling in a sense. And the whole entire defense, the whole entire stadium knows that you're running the ball and they're bringing all this pressure.
I think when I look at this game, a couple things stand out for me. One, I didn't think NC State's defense was very good. I think they had issues throughout, and we'll talk about 3rd down here in a second. But for the second week in a row, they came up big when it counted, right? Against East Carolina, you got the 4th and 1 stop. Here in this game, Keon Sloan with the interception in the end zone. From a morale and team standpoint, how important is it for it to feel like both units contributed to a win, right? Like, because it's one thing to say, maybe we're feeling like we're pulling ahead, whatever. It still feels like through 2 games, you can look at both of those games and say there are pockets where each unit contributed to that victory.
Absolutely. And I think that it's important that even with the little bit of struggles that we had on defense, that we did have that 4th and 1 stop early. And when it really mattered, we were there. And it's tough, right? Virginia was very good at the mesh concept, and they were seeing that all entire game. We would play man, they would get the good rub. We play zone, they would settle down. So it was tough to be able to stop that concept. But when it matters most, if you're able to make the play, at the end of the day, that's what matters. And being able to have that confidence coming back that next week, knowing that there's things to work on, but as well as that we have things to be able to look back on and say that was a good moment as well. And honestly, 2-0 is better than anything else. So you can't fight that,
Look, I'm not going to put it all on NC State's defense. I thought Virginia's offense was really good. Mm-hmm. Your former offensive coordinator, Des Kitchings, was calling the plays. I saw a lot of mesh that I'm sure you ran, a lot of drag routes. Mm-hmm. Did you see the similarities of some of the stuff that you guys were running in 2019 when you were there with Des?
I think he got better as a play caller, and he progressed with everything that he learned, right? He had to take a step back in order to get back to where he is now. And he understands just the players and what works for my team, whatever I'm given, whatever guys that are around me, right? Let me utilize them to the maximum ability, right? That running back was extremely talented. I kept giving him the ball any kind of way that they wanted to. Number 7 for Virginia as well was a very talented receiver. So it's like, that quarterback was talented as well. And that's what we're going to have in ACC games. Like, ACC games are not going to be easy ever, no matter who you're playing. And to be able to come out with a win against against a good offensive play calling team. A good offense is what you want to see at the end of the day.
All right, Emeka, let's transition this thing to NC State versus Wake Forest. We're going to take a walk down Emeka Emezie memory lane through some of these games against Wake Forest, and we're going to go to 2017 for you. And this was a game which I know you weren't fond of, and trust me, I wasn't either, because I still think you scored, sir.
Yeah.
I still think you scored there. Talk about the play. Everybody knows the play we're referring to. You got tackled at the goal line. Ball, bang, bang play. Ball gets knocked out. Wasn't an angle on the pylon or a camera on the pylon to show it, so they had to go with the it stands as called on the field. But for you, talk about that play and what you remember about that game that night.
Yeah, it was honestly, it was a blessing, right? I take that as a big, big blessing for my whole entire life. And starting from the disappointment of it was seeing the guys in the locker room and knowing that we could have had that 10-win season, right? That was such a crazy moment because I wasn't expecting to play. I was doing everything I possibly could to play in the game. We had talented receivers, Steph Lewis, obviously Kelvin and Jacoby. I was just that like 6th to 5th receiver, 4th receiver that was coming in and getting reps, and Steph was hurt that game. So I got a lot of opportunities in order to play, and I knew I could play at that level. Now in my head going through that play, I was thinking, all right, I'm literally envisioning myself, all right, I'm going to win this game. As soon as I catch the ball, I make a move, make the guy miss, and then you end up fumbling the ball away. And that was a crazy moment just because you go from hero to zero in a sense. But that shaped my whole entire career. Like after that, learning to become a man, learning what college football meant, learning to overcome the adversity that whole entire offseason and working, not wanting that to be the only moment that I'm remembered by as a receiver, and being able to overcome that as well. And it's a blessing to be able to have that, because as a man and as a person in general, we're going to have a lot of low points in life, right? Just as a football player, those things were televised and people were able to see those. But I think that it's a special moment to be able to have that as one of the biggest moments in my life, and then to be able to finish off with the moment as well that honestly God makes no mistakes, and that was preparing me for everything that I was able to go through at NC State, honestly.
Look, man, you had a hell of a touchdown catch in that game too. The high point in the corner of the end zone. Talk about that play earlier in the game where you went over the top of multiple defenders and had to high point that jump ball. I thought that was a great grab.
Yeah, it was cool. It was really great. It was a great moment because Ryan honestly threw me the ball a lot of times when I wasn't supposed to get the ball. It was a corner cat blitz. So I'm one-on-one with the safety. The safety already has the angle because he's off coverage by like 15 yards. And he just let me go up and get it, right? So putting that trust in a freshman receiver that hasn't played too much and be able to go up and get the ball and gain that kind of trust for him and that get that momentum going into that next year was a great experience for myself to be able to do that at that level and to tell myself, you know, I really belong here.
Yeah, I go through your game logs at Wake Forest, and for whatever reason, they're in that stretch. State was really good during your time there, save 2019. Wake was still able to get you guys a couple times.
Yeah.
And I want to say that because Dave, he basically started his press conference this week saying, hey, this is a rivalry game.
Yeah.
What is it about this game do you think has enabled Wake Forest to maybe play a little bit above their heads, maybe better than their record against you guys more often than not?
You know, they're always just a weird, sneaky team because they're so small. They're smaller than Duke, and they get the most – at Wake, you're not going to get even maybe 3 stars. Maybe you get a little bit, but they get a lot of like sneaky 2 stars that are so talented. You go back, my buddy Sam Hartman, A.T. Perry. You think about Donovan Green. You think about some of the other guys as well that are so talented on that Wake Forest team. And it's hard to prepare for that because you don't even know where they're coming from. And they have all these like extremely talented guys. Even Kenneth Walker was there for a little bit. It's like, where are you getting these guys from? Like, how do you even find this talent?
Damon Claiborne this year.
Yeah, it's like, where are you finding this talent? So they're so sneaky, and it's like they were really good at that weird mesh, and it's hard to prepare for them. And they also just spread the ball out so much that last year that we played them, we lost 42-45. It was an offensive crazy game with the talent that they have around them. So it's like, it's always a fun game to play against them, an in-state rivalry. And it is a rivalry, honestly. It's a very important game for Wake or for NC State just because of the way that things have always played out. It's always been close, no matter how good we are, how bad they are, how good they are, how bad we are. It's like, it's always been a crazy game between the two of us.
Yeah, that 2021 game was one of, for me, the funnest games to watch. You had two teams in Wake and NC State basically playing for the Atlantic Division title at that point, right? I think they had Clemson pretty much knocked out of it. And if State had won that game, you guys were right there. And unfortunately, you get the year where Wake's really, really good, and they had kind of an unfortunate draw. I always tell people I think it's hilarious that Wake won the ACC that year, losing to North Carolina and Clemson, right? Because I think they played UNC that year as a non-conference game. But for you, in that 45-42 game, 10 catches, 133 yards, 2 touchdowns over there in Winston-Salem. So you left it all out there that night against in Winston-Salem. What do you remember about that game specifically, and obviously about your play?
Yeah, it was a great game. It was a great experience knowing that was my last game. I knew I had to – it meant a lot to me, right? It meant a lot to be able to go back there, and I was like, all right, like this has to be a big game for myself just because of everything that's happened. And I circled that game for myself, and I knew that was going to be a big game for myself. And it was good to go up against a talented corner as well, a 6th-round corner, and be able to go up and dominate and impose your will against the defense. And I think just with Devin Leary and the talent that he had and the trust that he had in me, throwing a lot of footballs to me that should have been thrown to me, but just having that trust within ourselves that we're going to make some plays. Honestly, that game was one of the coolest games because I was in the flow state. I wasn't even thinking anymore. I was just in the zone. And, obviously, like, we wanted to get that win, but for our offense, we just showed how good we were as an offense, and that momentum that we had going on through that whole entire season is the talent really just from Devin Leary as well, to be able to show how good he was as a quarterback was so much fun. And I think that as an offense that year it was a really good experience. Honestly, it was a really good experience.
I think with Wake being really good that year, I know the atmosphere there was outstanding, right? That was one of the, I think it was a night game. That game had a great crowd. NC State always travels to Wake Forest because you can get some tickets there. So you're always going to have a lot of red there. But the Wake fans showed out that night as well. So the crowd was great. But typically, it's not that type of an environment. Typically, it fuels a lot of NC State red, NC State fan base there. As a player, when you go on the road and you're in these environments where you don't have that – that big time atmosphere. How do you try to get yourself up? And do you feel like that's an advantage or disadvantage for the home team?
I think it's a great time, honestly. And I think really back to the 2020 season, it's so much of your brothers. You're leaning so much on your brothers. In the 2020 season, we were chirping back and forth with the sidelines. I have a vivid memory of Justin Dunn just yelling after the Pitt game. And it is just the two of us just going back and forth. And I think that as an offense, as a team in general, like, you have to have each other's back, because sometimes you don't have the fan support, and it is just packed out. I think about 2018 Clemson, it was just packed out with Clemson. It's like, we are all that we have, and we have to find a way to be able to get ourselves up and get ourselves the momentum no matter what happens in these kind of games.
NC State versus Wake Forest this week. NC State's a 7-point favorite going on the road. When you look at Wake Forest, they have one of the better running backs in the ACC in Damon Claiborne. This is a team that's going to try and run the ball. Emeka, how important is it for NC State to go in there defensively and slow down this rushing attack?
Yeah, I think that they'll probably have a different game plan going into it a little bit. I think just honestly, as a fan perspective, and I hope they don't, come bash me, that it was a little bit we didn't enjoy just the way we were setting the edges and coming off the blocks, and just being a little bit more aggressive on that kind of on that side of the ball, and really just imposing our will. Finding somebody on that defense besides Kean Sloan and some of the D linemen, like finding some of those the back, of course, Caden Ford, but finding some of the other guys that are willing to step up and just initiate that aggression. You think about Tanner Ingle, you think about Peyton Wilson. We don't have to have those guys, but at least try to set that energy and that tone for our team and our defense.
I know you guys, when you play, did not talk betting lines, so maybe this question's a little different for you. But let's just take it from the standpoint of maybe you felt like you were the favorite, right? There were games you went in where you knew you were expected to win. When you go into that game, what is maybe the number one key as a player you felt like as a team you guys wanted to focus on?
I think energy and intensity is so important when you're expected to win, because the team's they know this. Right. They know that they're the underdog, so they have a chip on their shoulder. They're playing with extra fire. And if you come out expecting yourself to win, you're going to be met. And then it's hard to be able to match that intensity and energy. If you didn't come out with that, it's hard to be able to come back out in the second half. I think about the 2021 Clemson game. I think even Andrew Booth might have had an interview. He said he didn't know about us. He didn't know about the receivers. He didn't know that we were that good. that's what's going to make you lose. So you don't want to be that team that comes out there underprepared, under-energized, and this team just coming in to smack you in the mouth, and now you're finding yourself in a deficit that you don't want to be in.
I love you say that. I coach basketball, and one of the things when my team's a favorite, I try to do is pressure. Like I try to come out early and run press, because like I feel like it gets my team going. It almost, when you played basketball before, when you full court press, it makes you get engaged, right? And I think that's kind of what you're speaking at here from a football perspective is you want to try and find ways to make sure you're not lethargic, make sure you're not flat, because that slow start, man, there's confidence to it that as an underdog you get.
Absolutely. And I think that like with that, taking a shot play, making sure that you do maybe a double move or have a big chunk play to be able to get some momentum going on and saying, okay, like we're here to play. And that's so important for those first few series that you're able to get a big play or get a touchdown going or get a huge interception or turnover, because it allows for the team to be able to have that kind of momentum and understand that, no, we're not just the favorite. We're coming out here to dominate, especially a game like this. I don't think that NC State, and we understand the previous series and how everything that's gone about with our teams, that it's so important that it doesn't matter what the favorite is, that we have to go out there and dominate, honestly.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about in my mind a game that you played in that fit this narrative, where you were maybe you went on the road as maybe an underdog, and you had to kind of overtake that. But I know a game that stands out to me is Florida State, right? Where back in 2017, you guys went down to Florida State, not a ton of expectation. Y'all were going to win that game. And it felt like you guys went in there and set the tone right away against an FSU team that I want to say they were maybe top 15 at the time.
Yeah.
Down there, that was your true freshman year. You remember winning that game 27-21. I believe that was the game Jacoby had the long touchdown catch. I feel like you guys went in there and punched them in the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Is that kind of what you're saying in terms of setting the tone?
Yeah, it's so important to have that fire to yourself and keeping that over a 4-quarter game. And it's just so important that each and every single player understands what's at stake here. Like it just can't just be the quarterback. It can't just be the running back. It has to be each and every single one of us, even the sidelines, the fans as well, understanding that energy, that intensity has to all come from each and every single facet on the field. And being able to withstand that energy for 4 quarters is the most important things, because you can be there for 3 quarters. And in that 4th quarter, they have the momentum, they have the crowd, they're able to overtake that momentum as well very easily when you're playing those away games. So having that fire, having that passion, having that drive within the team is such a common thing that needs to be done in these kind of games.
This is a Thursday night game. You've played in your share of Thursday night games as well. For you, playing Thursday night, prime time, what was it like preparing and going into that type of an atmosphere, knowing, hey, you're the show, man. You're on ESPN. Everybody's watching.
That's what, even just like the athletes I mentor now, if you see a big opportunity, it's a big chance for yourself to make a name for yourself. So don't think about it as I'm nervous because I'm on TV. None of that even matters. Like you can't see yourself on TV until after the game. It's not another game. I don't like to say that it's another game. I know coaches like to say that. No, it's a big opportunity. So play that way and have that energy and have that swagger and confidence to yourself, because those are the moments that you want as an athlete. Those are the moments that you come to NC State for, to play in these big national games. That's why you went Division I. That's why you went to the ACC, and allow yourself to have that juice to yourself, and that knowing that this is what I want and this is why I came to NC State to play these kind of games. And I loved every single Thursday game. I loved every single primetime game, because those are the moments that you prayed for as a child, honestly.
Give me your key to this game for NC State. If you could pick one key, if you said, okay, if NC State does this, I think they're winning this football game, what would it be?
I think stopping the run and honestly just doing what we've been doing on offense with CJ Bailey. Let CJ Bailey play. He's so talented. Just watching this game over and over, he's so talented. He's such a premier quarterback. He's going to be an NFL guy. He's going to be a top 4 round, easily top 3 round quarterback that comes off the board. It's like, allow him to play his game, right? Allow him to play off schedule. Allow him to get those quarterback design runs when it means something. Just giving him the keys to the offense, honestly, and the defense just having their back. I think that we know it is an offensive season, so you don't have to do as much when you have those kind of teams that it's either a defensive heavy team or offensive heavy team. You just have to do your part. You just have to get a couple stops, and the offense is going to be able to score. So when we know that you get a couple key stops, one turnover, even at that, you're going to see us win the game. And that's what I would be honestly preaching to the team.
Emeka said it very simple. Let C.J. Bailey play.
Yeah.
Like that sounds like it's crazy simple, but can you just expand on that one sentence, what you mean by it?
Yeah, C.J. is so talented that, and thank God he's a quarterback, right? He has the ball in his hands each and every single play. It doesn't really matter what you call. And that's what's the fun thing about being an offensive coordinator. When you have something like that, you can make a wrong play or right play with somebody like that. He's going to find a way to scramble. He's so fast. He's twitchy. He's athletic. He's able to make tight throws. He's able to find those guys. And it doesn't really matter who's out there at receiver. He's able to find and connect with them. So just giving him the ball, allowing him to do what he does, and just having his back at the O-line. The O-lineman, shout out to the O-lineman as well. They were just allowing Hollywood to go crazy. It'd be 3 yards before you even be touched. It's like, those are the things that we need, those unselfish plays. The quarterback or the receivers are out there blocking their butts off for the receivers that are catching the ball, the running backs that are getting the ball. It's like, it's just a team game. And seeing that on the offense as well, that we've had those times where we had certain guys would get the ball, and even myself, I'll take credit for that, being selfish, not wanting to block. It's like having everybody that is so bought into the system that, man, it's special to watch.
What concerns you about this game for NC State?
I think just the energy of it it's a weird energy, just being with Wake Forest for whatever reason. They can be as bad as they are. They can be having a tough season, that it's always going to be a close game. I think that just with the way that Coach Doran has been able to go about it, and maybe a little bit shift that narrative and do things that we don't usually see, coming back from down 10 points, having to stop. Like when we punted the ball back, everybody, I'm sure NC State fan was like, oh, here we go again, right? Like a 2-minute drive, the offense has the ball again, they're going to win the game. It's like those things are changing. So I think that with Coach Doran, with the play calling, with the things that we have going on for ourselves, just changing that narrative for ourselves and understand that it's not the same that it used to be.
Look, you've got Duke next week, so this question can probably fit that narrative as well. But I want to ask you before we get going, Dave Doran in rivalry games and his coaching staff, when you guys are at practice each week and you're in your team meetings and all those different things, do you get a sense from them these games are different? Like, we know what they say outside to the media and all those things. They embrace it. They say these rivalry games matter. But do you feel a different level of excitement and energy from your coaching staff in weeks like this?
Absolutely. I think it's just attention to the details. And that's where it comes down to, honestly, is those small little moments. You think about the game where I fumbled the game away. You think about the UNC game where we come back from that. You think about all these little small moments where it just changes the game. I think 2018 Wake Forest, where we punt the ball away and they come back and they go score, and they score on that 2-minute drive. It's like, that's what it comes down to. So those small moments are so important that we have to harp in on, that maybe we got away with against Virginia, or we got away with against ECU, but against these Duke, Chapel Hill, and Wake Forest games, we can't get away with those. So being able to be so attentive to the small things is so important in these games.
I love that you mentioned it that way. You know, as a media member and as an alum, when you think of these games, you do remember the small pockets. Right, like I think of 2021 North Carolina. My first thought's going to be Emeka Emezie's touchdown catch to win it in the come from behind, or Chris Dunn onside kick recovery. Right, like you go to 2017, you may remember the fumble. I guarantee you, all fans are going to remember it as the pylon game.
Yeah,
because there wasn't an angle to show you being in to where it wasn't a fumble. Right, like there's multiple ways you can look at it, but to your point, those moments are so impactful that they stand, like, you know, the course of time. Like I go back to, was it 2018? I called Carolina the Reggie Gillespie game. Remember Reggie over there had 5 touchdowns? He went crazy, right? And so I think you know, as a player, you want to go in and win these games, but you also understand that you have a chance to kind of leave your mark. Yeah. Right. Like I told you, when I think of 21 Carolina, it's Emeka Emezie's touchdown catch over the defender in the corner of the end zone. Like, you know, as a player, you're leaving your mark, and it feels like these things happen in these rivalry games more often than not.
They always do, for whatever reason. It's a battle of those inches of the game, and it is a legacy game for a lot of these players. It's like you think about even Jacoby Myers too. That 2018 year, he had those crazy catches. The one-handed catch. You think about Reggie Gillespie. You think about Nyheim Hines, that 2017 year against Chapel Hill. It's like, those moments are so special and sacred, but it's just such small little inches of where you just bounce out a tackle and you have a long run for Naheem, or you have a 2-minute drill where Devin Leary calls he checks the route to me and we score that touchdown. It's little small things, even within the big moments. There's small things that happen that weren't supposed to happen, and we end up scoring, or the game happens however it happens. It's weird that it happens that way, but it's the truth.
We got with Emeka this week to talk about the win over Virginia, to talk about the upcoming game against Wake Forest. We're going to check back with him next week to look at Wake Forest and preview Duke. Emeka, before we get going, tell the listeners, the viewers, where they can find you at on all the social media channels.
Yeah, just on TikTok, Emeka Emezie, Emeka2 Emezie, and then I have a second Instagram I'm posted on a little bit consistently, Emeka Emezie too. So yeah, just go out there. We're gonna be real consistent, just posting each and every single week, each and every single day, honestly, and just loving every single day.
There you have it. NC State legend Emeka Emezie was with us again tonight to discuss the Wolfpack as they work their way through the 2025 season. If you haven't done so yet, subscribe here at Inside Pack Sports on YouTube. Also, check out the website, www.insidepacksports.com, for the latest information on NC State athletics.